We could do a nice polo shirt with our logo on it, nice pair of slacks.
But then we look like we work for T-Mobile.
Yeah, or a Subaru dealership. Ooh, how about jumpsuits?
What? No.
Oh, hey mates, we're just trying to come up with some ideas for uniforms for the crew here on the VHS Pirate Ship.
You mean you are? I don't want any part of this.
Oh, come on, Paul the Skull. It'll be great. Uniforms add a level of, well, uniformity. Professionalism.
Professional what? You're a pirate who collects VHS tapes.
Well, I mean, it'll make us seem like we're legit, like we're a team.
But I don't have a body. What am I going to do with a uniform?
Aha, I've already thought about that. Hold on a second. Ta-da!
What is that?
It's your new body.
Well, it's a little small, don't you think?
I guess the scale is a little off.
A little off? I would look like Dustin Hoffman.
Well, I'll see if we can get some modifications.
What's so special about uniforms?
Uniforms are important. They add a level of class, a certain je ne sais quoi.
What the bloody hell does that mean?
Yeah, charm. It's French.
Charm? Have you smelled yourself lately?
Yep, that's definitely French.
I don't know, Captain. Uniforms is just a stupid idea.
Ah, come on. Uniforms are very important. They show solidarity, working together for a common cause, and they even work in the world of VHS tapes.
Leave it to you to tie in VHS tapes.
That's right. Many distributors tried to make uniform tape sleeves to make their collections look more, well, professional, more together, more legit, and it works very well on your shelf.
I suppose you want to do a treasure hoard showcase about it.
Now that's not a bad idea. Let's do a treasure hoard showcase featuring the most underrated uniform tape sleeves, and that is the CBS Fox Home Video collection throughout the 1980s.
Oh, I shouldn't have bloody said anything.
Well, you just think about what kind of uniform you want, and you enjoy this treasure hoard showcase. Yarr!
Do I have to say it?
Yes.
Yarr!
It's the Treasure Hoard Showcase! Treasure Hoard Showcase! Treasure Hoard Showcase!
Treasure Hoard Showcase!
That's right, from Captain Adam's VHS Pirate Ship, it's the Treasure Hoard Showcase! Treasure Hoard Showcase! Treasure Hoard Showcase! Today's Treasure Hoard Showcase, the CBS Fox Home Video Collection. Yes, CBS Fox Home Video, a major home video distributor throughout the 1980s and into the 1990s, had the great idea of making their tape cases uniform in design, making them very recognizable and unique amongst all other VHS, and you don't have to be a VHS collector to know what they are. And if you are a VHS collector, you probably want these simply because they all look the same and you have to have them. They look great on your shelf, and it certainly gives you the video library feel. Now, of course, they're not the only home video distributor to do this. RCA Columbia TriStar Home Video did the uniform tape sleeve thing as well. And I've already done a treasure hoard showcase all about my RCA Columbia TriStar Home Video collection, and that's in the archives if you wanted to check that out. So the RCA Columbia TriStar Home Video collection usually gets the most recognition when it comes to uniform tape sleeves. And the CBS Fox Home Video collection, which employed the same method of uniform tape sleeves, seems to get pushed to the back of the line and end up seeming criminally underrated. But today we're going to showcase CBS Fox Home Video and give it its just due. Yes, we're going to showcase these beauties, these VHS gems, and how splendid they look all together. More specifically, I'm going to showcase the ones that I have in my collection, and I simply had to have them mainly because of the uniformity of the tape sleeve, and it made me want to collect as many as I could. And as you can see, I don't really have that many of them, but the ones I do have, I'm quite proud of, and they were not expensive whatsoever. Yeah, I just had to have them. I mean, just look at the design. It's so aesthetically pleasing. It's so simple. And it says to me,
Buy me! Buy me! I'm an early release!
yes, it's true. When you see this classic CBS Fox home video design, you know right away that you're dealing with an early release. And in most cases, the first VHS release of a particular movie. So what do I mean when I say uniform tape sleeve? Well, really it all comes down to the spine of the sleeve itself. As you can see, the font of the movie title is all the same, and I just think they look great all together on a shelf. It looks great for display purposes and looks like you have a legit collection. And it was a clever idea in the design of the tape sleeve. Yeah, they did this uniform tape sleeve design throughout the 1980s until 1989 when they eventually started implementing the movie's actual logo upon the tape sleeve spine instead of the font they had been using, which I think is kind of a bummer, and to me it just takes the romance out of the whole thing. And I do have two VHS that demonstrate this new design, like my 1989 distribution of Big and my 1990 distribution of The Abyss, which I should be more excited about having these than I am, but I'm just not. Just because they changed the design. I mean, look how they look compared to the older ones. It's just not the same. And though I still count these two among my CBS Fox home video collection because, well, that's what they are, they just seem to lack that poetic nostalgia that the earlier CBS Fox home video releases had. And these are even first releases too, and I kind of find myself not really giving a shit simply because they just don't go with the rest of the collection, so I'm just not that attached to them. But here are some I damn sure am attached to, like my 1988 distribution of Predator. Yes, Predator was first released in theaters June 12th, 1987, which makes this VHS right here the first VHS distribution of this movie. As you may remember, back in these days, it took a while for a movie to go from theater to home video, usually about 6 months. So if a movie like Predator was released in the summer of 1987, you can damn sure bet that it wasn't being released on VHS until well into 1988. And did you know it's because of this movie there was never a third Conan the Barbarian movie made? Yes, there was a third Conan movie in the works, but due to his contractual obligations to this movie, Schwarzenegger had to turn it down. And they decided to say fuck it and not go ahead with the third Conan movie because, well, you really can't have a Conan movie without Schwarzenegger. I mean, they tried, but does anybody remember that piece of shit? Look at this, just a glorious looking tape. Hey, look there, eat shit and die. And there's the Predator. Did you know that the guy that played the Predator in this movie was the same guy who played Harry and the Hendersons? Well, you do now. Let's move on. And here we have my 1986 distribution of Short Circuit, which was released in theaters May 9th, 1986. And this VHS distribution is the first VHS distribution of this movie. But you've probably figured that part out. And anyways, this VHS was a gift, and I'm very thankful for it. Though the previous owners apparently used the tape as a diary. Yeah, lots of writing on this VHS, and I'm just not sure why people feel the need to write on VHS tapes. I mean, do you really have to put your name on it? Let's see the back of the tape here. Lots of grease spots, though they're probably from me. Short Circuit is a good movie, but a weird movie to me. It seems like it's a movie that never got as big as they expected it to. It seems like they were trying to make a new 80s mascot with the robotic character Johnny Five, but it never really took off. And the marketing for this movie was sort of on lockdown. I mean, there was no merchandise really, there was no toys, there was no cartoon. There was a video game, but it was for the Commodore 64 and was released only in the UK, and it was by Ocean, so I'm sure it sucked. And it's weird that this was at a time when marketing a movie, especially one that was in the family movie genre, was a big deal. I mean, most of the movies at this time had merchandise. So for a movie like Short Circuit to not have merchandise is sort of odd. I just don't know how they expected this to take off. If I had to guess, I'd say that the licensing rights for this movie had a bit of a squiffy contract to where it was pretty restrictive as to what this movie could do, which meant that the merchandise and marketing was slim to none. And what's weird is that this VHS actually had a co-distributor. Yeah, PSO Video, whoever the hell that is, just had to have their name on the cover, which tells me that this movie had some pretty strange licensing rights conflicts. Now, of course, a VHS having co-distributors isn't an odd thing, but for CBS Fox Home Video it is. I mean, they don't really do that, and yet they did it with this movie. Because theatrical release distribution rights, home video distribution rights, and merchandising rights are all different things, and are not one and the same, and can be pretty difficult to navigate. But let's move on from all the legal mumbo-jumbo and on to a real classic with my 1987 distribution of The Fly. Released in theaters in 1958, this horror classic further cemented Vincent Price as the world's favorite and classiest spooky guy. And as far as I know, this VHS distribution is the first VHS distribution of this film. And this 1987 distribution was released in correlation with the 1987 VHS distribution of the 1986 remake starring Jeff Goldblum. And obviously that was released by CBS Fox Home Video as well and was part of the collection. Though I do not have it in my collection, I will someday. And let's move on to another first release with my 1984 The Empire Strikes Back. Yes, one of my favorite movies, and in my opinion, the greatest Star Wars movie. I found this ex-rental copy in a thrift store for $0.25. And I about jumped out of my skin. I was very excited, and that was a good day. It's just too bad that they destroyed the tape sleeve to fit it in the rental clamshell, but oh well. Released in theaters May 21st, 1980, it took The Empire Strikes Back 4 years to come to home video. But let's keep in mind that back then, home video was still a relatively new technology, and it took a while to get the film formatted to VHS or beta. Not to mention all the licensing litigation and distribution rights claims. I mean, it just took some time for all this stuff to happen. And good old CBS Fox Home Video did obtain exclusive rights to the Star Wars trilogy. So not only was The Empire Strikes Back released on VHS in 1984, but so was A New Hope and Return of the Jedi. And CBS Fox Home Video would go on to re-release this trilogy in 1990. And as a matter of fact, CBS Fox Home Video was responsible for the first VHS release of A New Hope in 1982. Actually, they released it twice in 1982. There was the Video Rental Library Edition, which came in a clamshell and was an exclusive release to video rental stores. Hence the name Video Rental Library. And they released a distribution that was available for public sale. That was released in the so-called big box that VHS collectors go absolutely apeshit for nowadays. But given the retail price of VHS back in 1982, not too many people had this. And not too many people have this today either. Though there are some sellers that do, as well as there are some sellers that have the Video Rental Library Edition. But at their current asking prices, I imagine that they'll have these for a very long time. However, fair is fair, and these are rare. And hell, I didn't even know these things existed. I know these asking prices may seem outrageous, but you gotta think that back in the day, given the high retail price on these VHS, they probably didn't sell too many of these. And the ones that weren't sold were more than likely eventually destroyed. Because in a roundabout way, inventory costs money to keep. And if you're not making money off of it, you're losing money because of it. The reality of it is that you're more than likely looking at one of the very few of these that's still in existence. So given all of that, I suppose these prices really aren't that bad. But bad enough for me never to have them. But enough of stuff I don't have. Let's get back to some stuff I do have. Yes, some other CBS Fox Home Videos in my treasure hoard of note would be my 1987 distribution of The Poseidon Adventure. And this was an ex-rental copy as well, and was only $0.25, and I'm pretty sure that this is the first VHS distribution of this 1972 film. And then there's my 1984 distribution of one of the many films starring the iconic comedic duo of Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor with the 1976 comedy Silver Streak. And once again, I'm pretty sure that this is the first VHS distribution of this film. And another thrift store find for $0.25. In fact, I pretty much found all of my CBS Fox Home Video collection in thrift stores. Like my 1984 distribution of the 1951 science fiction classic
The Day the Earth Stood Still.
And once again, I am fairly certain that this is the first VHS distribution of this movie. Because, well, that's pretty much what they did. CBS Fox Home Video brought a lot of classic movies to the home video formats, allowing you to
Bring home the theater experience with the magic of home video.
And you pair that with the uniform tape sleeve design, and CBS Fox Home Video really made having a video library feel like a big deal. And the early CBS Fox Home Video library actually has a nickname amongst VHS collectors. Yes, they're commonly referred to as the Red Label CBS Fox Home Videos, denoting the little tag in the corner that specifies that this video is in hi-fi stereo sound. But it's okay, because even if you had a shitty TV, all of these tapes are mono-compatible. And I know that because it says that on every damn one of these tapes. Yes, CBS Fox Home Video was a very important distributor. They brought many film classics into homes, as well as released the modern hits of the time. And I'm very proud to have these pieces of VHS history in my treasure hoard, especially for the dirt cheap price I paid for each of them. So that about does it for this treasure hoard showcase. I hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to hit subscribe and share this shit. And take care out there, and I'll see you next time, only on Captain Adam's VHS Pirate Ship.